Welcome to this Divi training video hosted by PGM. Congratulations on your new Divi website. We hope that this video helps you as you continue to make updates to your new Divi website. But as always, if you ever have any questions that come up, you are always more than welcome to reach out to Paul or your dedicated PGM account manager. So to start, I'm just going to go ahead and show you some different features on the back end of your website. So you would start by putting in your URL with a /wp-admin. This is going to allow you to log into the back end of your website. So we're going to go ahead. I have my login already saved, so we'll just go ahead and log in. And then once you log in, you will be automatically brought to the dashboard on the back end of your website. So the dashboard is completely customizable. You can add all of your different widgets to the front or to the bottom, wherever you would like. If you also have different widgets appearing that you don't need, let's just say that you don't need to have a WordPress events and news bubble showing up. You can go up to screen options here. And you'll see this drop down, and this is all of the different screen elements that are currently being shown. And if they have a check mark, that means that you will be able to see them. And so we can go ahead and just uncheck all of the ones that don't apply. So let's just say we don't want to do WordPress events and news. We can uncheck that and we'll see it automatically disappeared from the dashboard. You can go ahead and again customize all of the different elements that you see. You can drag them in different boxes to get a view that best suits your needs. So that's your dashboard. We're going to go through a couple different sections on the left-hand side here. And so if there are any that you have on your website that might be unique to your website, we'll probably go ahead and do an additional informational section and tag that video at the end of this major video. So we're going to go ahead and start by looking at posts. Posts is where you will go if you have any blogs. So typically this is where we keep ours. You'll see all of ours here. If you ever wanted to add a new blog, you could click Add New at the top. Or one thing that we like to suggest in order to keep your blogs consistent in the design and layout is to hover over your recent blog and click the button that says Duplicate This. Now, once you do that, you'll see that your duplicate shows up at the top with a little piece of text that says draft next to it. So we can go ahead and do a quick edit. And if we want to, we could just update the title here, update your slug, which is the piece of the URL that comes after the backslash of your main domain. And then if this was a post or page, because the page has a similar look, that was password protected, this is where you would put the password. This is also a quick area where you can add it to different categories that you might have or add any tags. We can also go to edit and be brought into the back end of the post, and this is where we could update all of the text. So we have this display right here, which is the wireframe view. This kind of shows the structure layout of that page or post, but you can also go ahead and design with this display view. This shows you what it looks like on the front end on a desktop, and you could also view it as mobile or tablet. As you scroll down here, this is where you'll see your Yoast SEO widget. This is where you can put in any of your key phrases and update your meta descriptions. And so you'll see off to the right side, there's an area to put a featured image. So you always want to do that with a blog post. This is where you can also add your tags and your categories. And then you'll see right here that we have the save draft option. If you're ever making changes but you don't necessarily want to publish your blog to your blog page, you could go ahead and save any updates here. You can preview, and then once you're finally ready to publish the blog, you can go ahead and hit publish. So before we do that, I'm going to show you that you can also go ahead and build your post on the front end. So if you click this button, then it takes you to that blog and shows you on the front end how it would look. And this kind of gives you more of that drag and drop design feature that we like so much with Divi. So you could go ahead and update an image here if you would like. And then you could just click each box and update any text that you would like. If you wanted to put in a link for that module, you would do it here. And then there's design tabs as well. So if you wanted to update any of the text, if you wanted to update any of your text font weight, you could do that here. You could update the color, the size. And then advanced is where you can see more specific things like scroll effects, positions, but most of your updates will probably be within this content section. So whenever you are done making any edits, you would just go to save changes. You gotta make sure that you hit this check mark, and then you'd be all set. And so you can go ahead and add new elements as well. So let's go ahead and add one here. Let's say we want to add an image below this. You would click this gray button and it will bring up these new elements or modules. There's different ways of saying them. We'll go ahead and call them modules though. So you would scroll down, you'll see all these different ones you can choose from, and I'm going to choose the image. And then this will pop up, and this is where I can go ahead and choose an image. So I'll go ahead and choose this one. And then if you wanted to maybe make it smaller, you'd go to design, sizing, and this is where you could go ahead and update that. So maybe we'll bring it down like right here. If you wanted to change the alignment, you would just go up one, and let's just make it in the center. And that's how you would go ahead and add an image. So I'm actually going to exit out so that it doesn't save any of those changes. And we can always delete an element by clicking it. And you'll see some of these other buttons as well. The delete is this trash can right here. There's the additional settings, which allows you to disable them if you'd like or save to the library. You'll see this button over here helps you duplicate it. So if you wanted to put a bunch of different images on here, you could just duplicate a module and it will automatically put it below here for you. I think I clicked it twice. Here we go. And then this gearbox is what takes you to the settings that we were just seeing earlier. And then this helps you position it. So if you want to move it here instead, you can move it just like that. We'll put it back up here. So when it comes to the hierarchy of this post or page, you'll see that there's this green box and a blue box and a gray box, and you might be asking, what does this all mean? If we go back to the wireframe view, you can see it here as well. So the largest element that you have is a section, and that's your blue area. Within your section, you can then create a bunch of different rows, which is your green. And then within your rows is where you have those specific elements or modules. Those are your gray. So when you're in the visual builder, you'll see when you hover over things, if I hover over here, this shows me what is all encapsulated in a section. So this section is pretty large. This shows me what is encapsulated in a row because it's in this green box. And then when I hover over this, it appears in a gray box, and that lets me know that this is a specific element or module. So after you make all of your changes, one nice thing you can do is if you click this little button right here, it kind of looks like a clock. This shows you your revision history. So let's just say that you made an edit, mean to make. You can always click here, and this is where you can go back to a version of your website before you made the change. You can also go ahead and press either Command Z or I believe it's Control Z if you're on a PC, and that will take care of it for you as well. And once you go ahead and you're ready, you can again save the draft here or you can publish. Before we do that, I do want to show you how you can view the tablet and the mobile view. You would just go over here and hover over. Click this button and it will show you what your page or post would look like if you were viewing it on a tablet. And then if you click this mobile button, it shows you what it would look like on a phone. And so you could just check it out here. You can make any edits here as well. So we're going to go ahead and save the draft. And then whenever you're done, you click this X button, and then you can click Exit Visual Builder. Now, if you do that, you'll see that it just ends up taking you to the front end of your page, and it shows you what that looks like. You can also go back to the back end of the page or post if you click Edit Post. And as you can see, we have been brought back to the back end. So let's just say we want to go ahead and update this title. You could just do it right here. This is a new title. And whenever you do that, if you press enter and you save the draft, you'll notice that the slug in this permalink also updates automatically. This is important because this directs to the specific page that your post or page is going to be on. So this should always be the same as your title. So that is a quick overview about posts and also a little bit about pages, since the pages work very similarly with the Divi builder. So once we go to post, we'll go to the next thing, which is media. This is your media library. This is where you're going to upload any pictures, videos, or PDFs that you want to then place on a page. So if you wanted to do that, you would click Add New. You could either drop files into this box or just select files to add from your desktop. So I'll go ahead and add this one, and then it will appear right here. Once it downloads, you'll see that there is its own file URL right here. So if you wanted to create a button that links out to a PDF, all you would need to do is upload it to this media library, and then once it's ready to go, you would come to the file URL and you would copy everything that comes after your main domain. So we don't want to copy this, we just want to copy everything after the .com or the .org or the .net, whatever your domain ends with. You would copy that, and then you would place that as the link for your button module. And that is a quick overview of the media library. Pages, we won't spend too much time on this because we already did a lot of the similar capabilities with the posts, but this is where you would see all of your pages. Similarly to posts, if you had a page that you wanted to be password protected, you would just do the quick edit button and put the password here. And then you would go ahead and update it. So if we wanted to add a new page, again, you could always do an add new up at the top. But if you wanted to create a page that had a similar overall layout, I would recommend just taking a page that is already created that has that similar layout you're looking for and go ahead and duplicate that. So we'll go ahead and duplicate our ADA compliance page. And you'll see right here again the drafted version, the new clone of that shows up with the word draft next to it. And when you click into it, very similarly to the post, you'll be brought to the wireframe view of the page. And then if you wanted to, you could go and build on the front end, and it's all the exact same modules as we've seen before. So we'll go ahead and take a couple looks at those now. So as we see, this is a clone of one of our pages. Let's go ahead and just take a look at some of the additional modules that are involved with Divi. If you have the Pro Divi account, you will probably be able to see some of these Pro modules, including a flip box, a countdown timer, content toggles, a bunch of different things that you can use. After you go through the Pro modules, you can see the standard modules, which includes the accordion, an audio button, a blurb or call to action, a button, which is probably going to be very heavily used, a code block, contact form, a bunch of different things. So you would just go ahead and add whatever module you would like to your page. We'll go ahead and look at our contact form, because this is what you would create if you wanted to add a form for anybody to reach out about whatever it is you want. So whenever you add that in, you will automatically see that it generates a form with a name, email, and message field. If you'd like to add a new field, you could do that right here. You would just add the title of it. So let's just say phone number. And then you would get all of these different options you could choose from. So if you wanted to add a minimum or maximum length, you could do that. If you wanted to allow the form to take any certain symbols, you could do that. And then this is also where you would mark if this is a required field or not. There's conditional logic that you can add, as well as design opportunities with the background. So there's a lot to be able to do. So if we wanted to go back, we would just go to this arrow here and it would take you back to all the different fields in the contact form. If you wanted to update that to say phone number instead of field_4, that's where you would update the field ID. So we'll just make that the same. And we'll go back and you'll see that it's updated. If there's one that you want to delete, you would just click this little trash can icon. And then overall, this is where you would put the title of your form. So we'll say contact us, and you'll see as you're adding it that it shows up right on the left hand here. The success message is the message that appears after they submit the form. So maybe we'll just say, thank you for submitting our contact form. And this will show up once they do that. If we wanted to also add a submit button, we could do that here. This is where you would go ahead and update that text from just saying submit. And then this is a very important field. This is the email address. So this is the email that you want to be receiving these form submissions. So if I wanted to be the one receiving them, I would go ahead and put my email. And then we don't have to worry about message pattern at all. Now, if you wanted to add spam protection, you could do that. We have the basic CAPTCHA, which is automatically thrown on. That's this little addition equation at the bottom here. You could take that off if you wanted to, but we always like to have at least the basic one on just because spam is a thing and bots are out there and we don't want to be dealing with them. Okay, so you can also customize the design of this if you ever wanted to change something with the fields, the text. You could do that, the title text, the button, all the different design filters are here. And as well as the advanced tab, it has very similar buttons for the pages as it did for the posts. So once you have that all set up, you would just click the check mark and you would be all set. We would go down here, save the draft. And then once that draft is ready to publish, then you would click publish. Okay, so continuing on with the overview, comments is where you could see any comments that you enable for any of your blog posts or pages. Some other ones you might be using is the appearance button. Now we recommend here to really just let this be a PGM only tab. The reason being is that if there were any small updates made to the code, it could possibly take down your entire website. So in order to mitigate that possible problem, we recommend keeping this just as a PGM only area, except if you ever wanted to, you could very easily update your menu. Your menu is your navigation menu that shows up on your website. And this is where you would go if you ever wanted to change the order of anything, add a new page as a subpage, or delete anything. So for example, we've got some different pages we just added. We just added a new marketing business internship. So let's just say I wanted to add that into the navigation menu. You'd create the page, check it here, and click add to menu. And then once you do that, it will add itself to the menu all the way to the bottom here. Now let's just say that we wanted it to be its own standalone tab. Then we could keep it here and maybe just move it around as such. But let's say that we wanted to bring it up here and make it a sub-page under the team. Instead of keeping it here, you would just move it slightly to the right where you could see that it shows up kind of at as if you were to hit tab. It kind of shows as a sub page. And that is how you would add that. Now, if you wanted to delete it, you would just do this drop-down menu and you would remove it. After you make all your changes, you would have to go down here and hit Save Menu for it to save, and then you would be all set. So now let's go ahead and go into plugins. This is another area that if you'd like to just leave for PGM only, that works. This is what we will do with your part of your website maintenance, is just taking a look at all your plugins and making sure that they're all updated and good to go for the months. So this is where you would see all of the plugins that you're using. Users is where you would go if you wanted to add any new users to your site. So if you wanted to add a new administrator, you would just go ahead up here and click Add New. You'd put in the username, their email. If you'd like to also put their first and last name, you could do that. And then this is where a password will be generated for them. After that is all put in, this is pre-checked for you to send the new user an email. And then once you click Add New User, it will send an email that gives them a link in order to log in with the password you created for them and the username. If they ever wanted to update their password, they could also do that as well. Before you click Add New User though, you want to make sure that you give them the right role permissions. So if you had someone that only needed to get author privileges, you could click author, and then it will only show certain areas on this left-hand side that would be applicable for an author. Kind of helps limit the confusion with all the different things going on. But if you wanted someone to have full access to everything on your website, you would just make them an administrator. Once you click that, you would add new user and they would show up with the other users here. The next thing we're going to look at is settings. The settings is going to be the most applicable for people because this is where your 301 redirects are going to be listed. We don't have this set up for our site because it's not necessary, but if you have the 301 redirects plugin, then this is where it would show. And that is really simple in terms of going in and just adding any links that you want redirected to some new links. The last thing that I'm going to go ahead and show you is this Divi box right here. So we'll go ahead and click that. And this is the main settings hub for your Divi theme. Right now we're on the theme options page. And this is a really nice page whenever you're wanting to add code to your header. For example, if you are running a Facebook advertising campaign, in order to best track your conversions from that campaign, they recommend that you add a Facebook pixel onto the header section of the backend of your website. So in Divi, this is where we would do that, whether it's for Facebook pixels, any sort of Google codes like Google Analytics, etc., etc. So once you get to Divi theme options, you'd go to integration, and it will show you that head code right here. So you would just place it on a new line in that heading code. And it even gives you some piece of advice that the body code is really good for things like Google Analytics. So it's very simple to go ahead and find that. So we'll go ahead and go into Theme Customizer. And this is where you would see kind of a general overview of all the different design elements of your website. So if we wanted to go in and update, let's just say we wanted to update general settings in our site identity. This is where you would put your favicon, the tagline for your page that shows up whenever people are visiting. This is where you would go for the typography, and this is where you could go to update the typography all across the board. So you don't have to go into every single page and update the body font if you decide to make a change to your organization's branding. You can just do it right here, quick and easy, and it will update throughout the entire website. The last thing in Divi I'm going to show you today is the Divi library. This is very important because this is where you can make updates to different global elements on your website. When I say global, I mean elements like your navigation menu or your footer where those elements show up on every single page of your website. Typically, they'll show up in the Divi library for you to easily update. So for example, we've got our PGM footer right here, and we're going to go ahead and click into that. So for our PGM header, we like to keep it pretty simple. You can also go ahead and build on the front end, or you can just keep this wireframe view, but we're going to go and build on the front end. So this is what that footer looks like, and then you could do the exact same thing as you did with your pages in post, where if you hover over it, you can see the section, the row, and the module. So let's just say we wanted to add something else below. We'll add this, and let's go ahead and add a piece of text. So we'll go ahead and slide all the way down to text, and we'll just go ahead and check that. We'll say that that's what we want to do. And then you can update and edit whatever it is that you would like. You go ahead and click down here, click save, and then you are all set. So you exit the Visual Builder. And if you had already published this footer, it would show up automatically any changes you made. So let's say that I want to add an events banner on the homepage of my website. Maybe there's an upcoming gala or a webinar that you're promoting that you want to make sure people see when they come to the homepage of your site. So I would go ahead and click Add New, and then you will see this come up. You can put in your title here. I'll just say Sign Up Webinar Banner number 2. And you'll see this purple section with this gray module. The first thing I want to do is save it to the library. So when I save it to the library, we'll say Webinar Banner 2. We have the option to save this as a global element. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. And then I'm going to save to library. Once you do that, you should see both of those elements turn green. This lets you know that this is indeed a global element. So now I'm going to go to my home page, and I'm going to go find the home page. So for us, that is all the way at the very back. And we're going to go in here. And we are also going to go ahead and build on the front end of the website. Okay, and now that our home page has loaded, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to put this banner right below here. So what you would do is add a new section by clicking the section above, then clicking this plus sign to add a new section, and we're going to add from the library. And when we do that, it will pop up and we should see our new banner that we added just moments ago. So I'm going to go ahead and click that here, and we're going to go and use this section. And then you'll see it pops up right below here. And whenever we exit the Visual Builder, it will show as well as all the other elements on that home page. Last thing you would do is just click Save, and you would exit the Visual Builder, and it would show up on your website. I'm going to delete it for now since we don't necessarily want to add this. And that is the quick tutorial of the back end of your Divi WordPress website. I hope that you found this informational and helpful. And again, if your website does have any specific plugins or features that we did not show, it will probably be recorded and tagged at the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching.